It's DSP's Top 5 Worst Gaming Trends of 2011. The number one worst gaming trend of 2011, the United States government listens to lobbyists and attempts to change gaming and the internet forever. Now, you rarely, if at all, ever hear me talk about politics, but 2011 was a year where I felt not only my livelihood, but the future of gaming in general and the internet were seriously threatened by the actions of the United States government. Through a series of proposed bills, the US government has attempted to change copyright law, change the way that copyright holders can place claims against certain parties who are thought to be copyright infringers, and also, if they get their way, censor the entire internet. So let's talk a little bit about these bills. Bill S.978 was actually passed in Congressional Committee earlier this year, but has not yet gone up for a full vote in the House or the Senate. If this bill passes in its current form, it will essentially make anyone found to be guilty of streaming copyrighted content over the internet as a felon. This means that it will be permanently on your record. You could serve up to 5 years in jail, hundreds of thousands of dollars of fines, and it could ruin your life. When you are a felon, you can't get hired by a normal job. So this is some serious consequences for something that previously had only been in the hands of, say, a copyright holder who chose to prosecute or try to get damages. So for example, if I were to put video game footage of a Rockstar Games gameplay on the internet and Rockstar Games contacted YouTube, they could make YouTube take it down. With this new change of law, Rockstar Games could seek hundreds of thousands of dollars of damages, could seek to put myself or YouTube in a felony position because that content was streamed over the internet. In addition to that, it doesn't even have to be the copyright holder who seeks these kinds of damages. It can actually just be the US government who says, well, we think you're streaming copyrighted content and we're going on a crusade, so we're going to seek to prosecute you with a felony. Now, the way that this has changed from previously is that previously it was always believed that things such as video game playthrough content was protected under the fair use law or the transformative work law, meaning if you're doing a video game playthrough with live commentary, it's considered a transformative work and therefore you're not streaming copyrighted content per se over the internet. Now, the problem is, this has never actually been hashed out in a court of law. So anyone who does anything with video game footage on the internet, technically, even though they believe they are protected by the law, it hasn't been written in stone. And so if something so broad was to be passed with Bill S.978 saying that you are now a felon and then it could potentially ruin your life to be doing things that previously everyone thought were completely legal, it was startling. Now, the thing is, Bill S.978 actually isn't the worst of it. It was really getting pushed through Congress and Senate as quickly as possible, but then kind of came to a halt for a different reason. A couple other bills that were proposed where it kind of got rolled into, which we're going to talk about right now. So Bill S.978 ended up being rolled into two larger bills called the Protect Intellectual Property Act and or the Stop Online Piracy Act, depending on if you're talking about the version of the bill in the House of Representatives or the version of the bill in the US Senate. The problem with these bills is that not only would you still be considered a felon if you're found guilty of streaming copyrighted content over the internet, even though it's never been defined what's considered protected under fair use and what's not, and therefore it could be unfairly used against people who had always thought they were doing something legal, but it goes a step even further. These bills would actually allow the US government to send notices to ISP, so we're talking internet service providers and search engines like Google and Bing, and tell them, listen, this website is supposedly suspected of having copyrighted infringing content on it. You need to ban this website from your service. Meaning, if I am a customer of, let's say, Cablevision, who actually is my internet service provider, and the US government and or anyone who owns a copyright and decides to serve these papers to, say, Cablevision saying, I think that my copyright is being infringed by this particular website, well, the ISP will have a choice. We can either completely ignore this and then be legally liable if someone gives a court order or tries to prosecute because they're saying that their copyright's being infringed, or they can become completely immune if they just decide to block access to that website for all of their customers. So let's think about this realistically. You can either be completely immune and have no liability, or you can take a huge risk by denying the claim. What this essentially would do is allow people to just start sending false copyright claims to ISPs around the entire country, and they would pretty much be forced to block every single website that they got a request for. So these bills are insanely overgeneral. They make no sense. They're not even enforceable in their current form, but they're actually trying to push these through the Senate and the House of Representatives to get them passed into law. So you might ask yourself, why? Well, the answer is actually pretty simple. It's the Motion Picture Association of America. They are terrified because their entire industry has been losing returns at the box office, and they can't figure out why. So instead of actually doing legitimate research to find out why people aren't going to see their movies anymore, they've decided to blame the entire thing on internet piracy. And so what they've done is sent lobbyists to Washington, D.C. to tell our representatives and our senators that they need these bills passed ASAP, because if they don't pass them, thousands and thousands of jobs in the motion picture industry will be lost. Keep in mind, if these bills pass in their current form, millions of jobs based on the internet could be lost. We're talking industries like YouTube, like Tumblr, like Twitter, websites based completely off of social media that have basically spawned new electronic internet-based industry will be destroyed if these bills are passed in their current form. But guess what? The MPAA doesn't care. So our senators, thinking only about themselves, thinking, oh gee, well, the Motion Picture Association usually is a pretty good contributor to campaign funding. So if we pass these bills, they'll give us money, we can run next term, and we can get reelected, and the whole cycle continues itself. So we have to be very careful with what we do here. We need to contact our senators. We need to tell our representatives, listen, these bills are wrong. The good news is there was going to be a rushed vote this week to try to get these bills passed, but it was actually delayed. They said they would not do the rush vote, and it's going to wait until 2012 when the Senate re-adjourns after all the holidays, and then they're going to begin discussions about these bills again. But I can't implore, if you haven't seen my videos already about this, I can't implore you enough, please spread the word. These bills should not be allowed to pass. They will completely censor the internet. Oh yeah, and one last thing. You really want to know why the Motion Picture Association of America is losing money and why no one's going to see movies? Because they fucking suck. Maybe if anyone in the movie industry had any creativity left in their fucking bodies, they would stop putting out stupid remakes, rehashed sequels, actually putting out identical movies during the same year just with different actors, and maybe they would realize that even though it is a cheap cash-in to make these shitty teen throb movies with fucking glittered vampires, that maybe that's not going to be the best thing for their industry in the long term, and they should go back to finding original plots, interesting things that people would be willing to line up for to actually go to a movie theater and pay a reasonable amount of money to see. If you had originality, if you had talent, you'd still be making money. The problem is they got lazy, they got soft, they're trying to do cheap cash-ins, and they wonder why they're not making money. No, it's not because the Pirates Bay is streaming your movies, it's because your movies fucking suck and no one wants to see them. Whew, okay, I'm done with my little rant. I feel better. Please, everyone, if you care about the future of gaming, if you care about gaming streams of live tournaments, if you care about playthroughs, if you care about anything on YouTube, definitely contact your senator, contact your representative, tell your family, tell your friends they have to act out, and we have to do something to stop these bills from being passed. Alright, so those were the worst gaming trends of 2011. Unfortunately, some of them seem like they will probably continue into 2012, but let's hope that as a gaming community that we can continue to speak up, have a voice, and let it be known that these are the things that we want to stop. Hopefully 2012 will be a better year. I'll definitely be around to share it with you guys. So I hope you've enjoyed this top 5 worst gaming trends of 2011, and I will see you later.